be so reckless. You won't have enough stamina.
Uh-oh, my SP is almost tapped out.
And I am damn tired myself. I gotta binge drink! Because that's healthy!
Persona 3 tells me as such with all of its energy drinks.
Now, I'm refreshed, and I can power through this video! Reload's dungeon crawling is a perfect refresh of the original, keeping its core intact.
Ambushes? Check. Player advantage?
Yep.
Hey, there's a treasure chest.
Randomized floors with dungeon crawling where every chest is there to be looted and you can upgrade characters constantly on the fly with full heals, legendary loot, and superior customization, including beachwear accessories?
Abso-friggin-lutely.
Tartarus remains as omnipresent and intimidating as it did in the original, with an almost identical number of floors. But it's the quality of life improvements that make downing this 100-hour monster smooth and mild. Being able to choose your allies' actions directly was a smart move. I'm sorry for all the Persona 3 purists out there who swear by the old version's method of only controlling the protagonist while being limited to applying preset strategies for the rest of your squad, but this would have alienated a large chunk of new fans, or fans from recent entries like Persona 5, who are acclimated to having full control over your party's actions. The shift system borrows from Persona 5's baton pass as well, which is very handy in that it lets you continuously pass off to a character who has an element a shadow is naturally weak against, knocking foes down as a cooperative unit, instead of needing to use the protagonist for multiple persona switches and spells that would exhaust his SP quickly. This is especially viable if you use a multi-target attack and miss one enemy. You can shift to someone else to splurge on the SP, instead of exhausting one character. Even Strega uses this, which I thought was awesome, though I wish more of the boss shadows made the most of these strategic layers. It would have made for more complex and unpredictable encounters.
Look at how you squander your potential. It's beyond comprehension.
What makes much more of a difference, though, is the removal of the awful stamina system from the original game.
Even back in 2006, this was a poor mechanic that deserves all the scrutiny it gets. You're supposed to be concerned about saving your SP and making the most of each night as you go to Tartarus.
Don't be so reckless. You won't have enough stamina.
But it's pretty damn tough to do that when, after half an hour, your party literally gets sick and tired of it. They get weak, getting a whole bunch of damage done to them and missing their attacks. It's just not a fun combat experience. It made the entire process a chore, and the whole SP thing a moot point. What's more, you could just hack the system by sleeping in class, or even taking a piss to improve your status to good, or even great. You relieved yourself. Okay?
What the hell went down in that restroom?
Does taking a leak really elevate our health to a next level? In Reload, that's all tossed. You are only limited by your ability to conserve your special attacks and use items resourcefully. If you prepare well beforehand by raiding vending machines for a couple weeks, you can get a ton of drinks that will restore your party and let you go as long as you want without wasting days of social link time.
Such a good message to send to kids, don't you think? Let's all just haul in a bunch of pop or energy drinks and crush it all at once past midnight when the demons come out. That'll prepare you. And if you have to take a leak, who am I to stop you? Just go and relieve yourself and you'll be feeling good, even great. This game, it's just addiction galore.
Persona doesn't just promote binge drinking though, there's a healthier approach in the new gardening feature that over time creates powerful health and SP restorative veggies to help you grind perpetually. The game retains amazing item utility, wherein you can use gems to initiate knockdown attacks and save your energy, or utilize common sense, using freeze attacks to guarantee critical hits. I've always enjoyed the flexibility of Persona's battle system, and reloads is a tour de force in Persona combat. Another feature that stimulates progression are clock doors, which enable you to skip a ton of grinding, instantly leveling up 2 of your party members to catch up to the protagonist level, and thus encouraging you to swap more often between the members, as you know they can all stay balanced. And it serves a double purpose, letting you stay in Tartarus longer, since you can swap confidently between the party as some get tired. This means you can experience more of the character's strengths, weaknesses, movesets, and strategies, instead of relegating half of your party to a pretty much useless state for the whole game. It helps bring more weight and emotion to the plot when you've experienced the game with all 9 of your party members on the front lines, instead of just 4 of them. While you scale Tartarus, even basic shadow types that chase you around are reshuffled into weird varieties. We all know about the rare ones that leave behind so much extra loot, but that's nothing compared to these hilariously giant rare hand things that, depending on the party you have, can be easy to track down, and just let you absolutely wreck the leveling system if you successfully kill it. Some of them feign fear, but then try and stab you in the back, sneaking up and ambushing you with a dash from behind. Others are so pissed off, they just charge at you, but they can't reorient themselves, making it an easy ambush. Next are these dark rooms, where shadows can't see what they're doing, which actually gives you a huge advantage. And even drunk shadows that seemingly have no goddamn clue what's going on.
Those aren't my words attempting to be funny or something either. Look! They're drunk! I seriously thought they just put this in as a joke. Imagine if that was a legitimate status effect in the original game.
Just feeling drunk. You'd enter every battle either already knocked over or dizzy. But I guess underage drinking wouldn't be a good move by Atlus, or any game developer, although they almost went that far in Persona 4. Thank God that alcoholic monk didn't stop by during this sequence.
Oh, where's my drink?
If you want more challenge than drunk blobs, Tartarus features new monad passages, which are stretches of doors that contain tougher than usual shadows. I know this was present in the expanded PS2 versions, but it's implemented throughout Tartarus instead of being its own separate set of floors. Pursuing them guarantees some rare loot in each chapter of the game. And it also gives die-hard plot fanatics some extra insights into the weavings of the experiments, Kirijo history, and shadow manipulations that were taking place a decade prior. There's other tweaks too, like how the Reaper follows you up from floor to floor if you trigger him.
I can't believe this!
To balance out these tougher challenges, a new mechanic, Theurgy, is introduced, and stylishly well, I might add, in the game's early stages. I always disliked how useless Yukari is during the prologue fight, how, despite being a member of SEAS, she can't even use her evoker, just panicking and getting tossed aside. Atlus gives her redemption by turning the tables, in which the protagonist suffers a rare poor combat performance, forcing Yukari to make use of this all-new limit break type power.
Take that!
The enhanced combat gear and the Theurgy itself even gets its own new cinema scene, complete with slightly altered costumes for each of the heroes, to emphasize how it's not going to play out exactly the same as it did before. I enjoy how the Theurgy builds according to how well you adapt each character's best strengths. You may not absolutely need to heal your party, but Yukari will build her gauge faster if you do so. It encourages the protagonist to switch between personas frequently to build his, and rewards the player's buffing of Akihiko. Just subtle wrinkles that can alter your strategy. Also, how perfect is it that Aegis retains her Orgia mode for her version of this new mechanic? The devastation is awesome, and it retains the overheating drawback that could play a big role in longer boss battles. You can completely take charge of combat situations if you manage your Theurgy correctly too. In this boss shadow battle, I had Shinji use his boost move that cuts his HP in half in exchange for a one-time intense strength buff, and then unleashed his Theurgy move on it, which is the most edgy, teen angsty cinematic imaginable. That's one of the best things about Theurgy. Reload isn't going to wow you with graphical effects, but the stylish anime flavor drips off the screen, especially here when Shinjiro absolutely obliterates the thing with it. Check it out! Trophies just popping up everywhere because of that attack. And just a heads up for any new players, put Shinji in your party as often as you can once he joins, and attempt to build a rapport with him at the dorm as well. There's so many reasons for this, but just trust me, it'll enhance your overall experience of Persona 3 if you invest in Shinji! Even the aesthetic changes are welcome. While it's not a tour de force in PS5 graphical power, like I said, in fact, I'm certain it looks identical on the 10-year-old PS4. The added lighting effects, more variety, and pop in the different Tartarus blocks, and extra details are welcome as you travel up the tower. The fan favorite Mass Destruction still shines as a battle theme that digs into your brain the more times you hear it. I especially appreciate the inclusion of the whole entire second verse, which we were robbed of in the original release. It's got some dope lines like,
"Fears cut deep within the gun wounds. You can put your fate, destiny to the tool. Hardest thing to do is change who you are now to who you wanna be soon." First,
it's so edgy, it's abundantly adolescent, and absolutely emboldens the target teenager audience it's going for. This glorious rap is supplemented with "It's going down now." A brand new construction from Lotus Juice that, honestly, I like even better than Mass Destruction, especially this part.
bring it back, please. All the moves I make you know you like dance floor and doing this beat down and probably wish that you get fast. Oh!
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell Lotus Juice is saying in this song. I just know that the beat and the pace is fire!
Bring it back, please. All the moves I make you know you like dance floor and doing this beat down and probably wish that you get fast. Oh!
Is that it? I have no friggin' idea. I could just look up the lyrics, but it's been a fun pastime of mine since I got into the Persona series
To try and decipher the Japanese turned English lyrics on my own. It's more fun that way. Seriously though, Persona games have even more battles than other mainstream series like Final Fantasy. I'm glad they took the Persona 5 Royal route and included 2 fully distinct themes that are each over 3 minutes long to help fight the monotony. It sure as hell is better than having a 15-second loop repeated for 40 hours.
Now, are the additions perfect? Nope.
They could have dressed up the visuals a lot more. It's nice that it's 60 frames per second, but this game and cast deserve even more detail and animation. While the soundtrack as a whole remains spectacular, they didn't do anything new, and some of the selections are real stinkers, especially this theme as you're on what should be an exciting full moon mission involving the train.
Let it go, let it out, let it go, let it out. Take a deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Lay low, lay high.
Like, what the hell am I listening to? Oh, Lord, that's bad. As you progress, you'll become accustomed to the guardian shadows that appear during roadblocks, which are meant to be very arduous clashes. But before this, as you're spending time and identifying every regular shadow's weakness, there's no reason to use your amazingly powerful Theurgy moves on them. And you can hold your full charge indefinitely until you get to these boss shadows. Then, you simply reduce the enemy defense or buff your power, especially if you have Fuka's Theurgy filled, and then you just lay waste to the guardian shadows with these Theurgy moves, which, oh yeah, can't be blocked, guarded against, or absorbed by the enemy, even if the character's natural Theurgy element is one that shouldn't otherwise work against the shadow. Some Theurgies even have added effects like high chance of freezing, which means another critical hit and all-out attack.
Maximum firepower.
Look at this chump. He just barely started his playbook using this super buff move, but he's already one turn away from being dead. I wailed on him so hard at the beginning. So it doesn't matter. Even in the rare cases where the shadow has no weaknesses, meh, you can just use Rakunda to reduce the defense, and then you spam Theurgies until the thing dies.
You're finished! It's a win for the team!
All right.
Good job, everyone!
You might say it's my own fault for being cheap, but the game's constantly encouraging it. There's flashing, colorful meters on the side of the screen perpetually during battle, rewarding me with serotonin every time it moves up. You want to use this!
Another way you can abuse the Theurgy system is keeping them in check until you find a rare shadow, which gives you an easy way to defeat an enemy which might otherwise be hard to hit or not have a weakness, and giving yourself tons of extra money and experience. Also, the new version is much more generous with teleports. Not only can you find them on many of the floors randomly as you go upwards, Fuka can transport you back to the highest floor you reached, even after you go back to the first floor where you can save your progress. There's much less of a chance of you getting wiped out via getting ambushed.
Huh? Leader, say something, please!
Or accidentally triggering the Reaper by wandering around too much. In addition, there's this regular clock you can access in the entrance that does a full heal. And while you need to use Twilight Fragments to activate it, the game hands them out like candy from a parade float. You see them all over the ground in Port Island, you find them at school, you get rewarded with dozens of shards simply from talking to your social links. They can literally be found on any random floor by smashing these loot spires, or guaranteed to be found if you find a dark zone. So there's another handicap that stifles the difficulty. In the old game, you would be risking a lot by staying longer than your stamina allows.
Dory is low on stamina. Retreat could be a viable option.
Especially when the gatekeepers show up. And even if you made it back to the entrance, you didn't get a chance to fully heal yourself. And in that game, you wanted to go as far as you could, because any extra night you spend in Tartarus is a night you can't boost your stats or level up your social links. It made you even reconsider what accessories to wear. Here, even first-timers can pretty much bomb through an entire block of Tartarus, exploring, fighting, zooming through 20 or so floors, beat the gatekeepers, and go through optional monad doors and buffed up shadows, and get to the next dead end barrier without needing more than one night to play through it all.
Which also doesn't make sense, because isn't it just the dark hour?
Even advanced players who go through the game flawlessly need more than 1 hour to fight through all the shadows, get all the loot, beat all the guardians, and get to the next barrier. Look at this! August 9th, beginning at 52 hours and 36 minutes. By the time I'm done friggin' around, collecting loot, running into dead ends, finding weaknesses, making sure Koromaru is settled in and feels like part of the damn team, it's almost 4 hours later!
Wouldn't it be like 3:45 in the morning right now? How? How do the teenagers function this late?
Even the game explicitly states how much more tired humans get, even those who can function in the dark hour.
No way does 1 hour last that long. But I digress.
Now that I'm on the topic of time, if I abuse the grandfather clock mechanic, I could use Fuka's literal game hacks to find escape routes, keep shadows away from me while I run, and raise all my stats before any tough battles. constantly. Look at this. Without her defense boost skill, these attacks would have absolutely wrecked me. But meh, I'll just shake off that huge demon horned power strike off like it's nothing. Together, these additions almost negates the point of starting a new game plus, because you can max your social stats and social links, which require those high social stats, even if you start from scratch.
I'm not complaining. It saved me 100 hours, but still, too easy.
Finally, just as an old man shakes fist at Cloud pet peeve, I hate that the protagonist is limited to the standard one-handed sword for all of his weapons. His basic attack is just so blasé, it's so basic. It's like an even less cool version of Junpei. The old game gave him literally half a dozen options, including bows, boxing gloves, battle axes, and claymores, and it helped accentuate the special wildcard quality of the hero. Not to mention, until now, he was the only Persona protagonist to deftly handle many different armaments.
Holding infinite possibilities.
But are all of these easy features really such a big deal? Nah.
Persona 3 still offers tons of difficulty options, which will make resource management much tougher. If you want to keep it as tough as you remember, you can. So it's a pretty weak argument. Still, the mechanics could have done with some polish. If Theurgy wasn't able to be held indefinitely, if it functioned more like Final Fantasy VII's limit breaks and had to be used in said battle, maybe that would have helped.
What are your thoughts on Reload's combat? Has it evolved enough from the original, or do you prefer the harsher difficulty of the old game? And if you're a new player, what did you think of the character progression?
So much power, so much chaos.
Please let me know, and thanks so much for tuning in to Gaming Introspection. It's always good to see you, gamers. Take care.